this meeting the national orientation and planning need of all districts, Rotary districts in India. Let us begin by invoking the blessings of the Lord in the words of Rabindranath Tagore. This is my prayer to thee, my Lord. Right. Strike at the root of penury in my heart. Give me the strength lightly to bear my joys and sorrows. Give me the strength to make my love fruitful in service. Give me the strength never to disown the poor or bend my knees before insolent might. Give me the strength to raise my mind high above daily trifles, and give me the strength to surrender my strength to thy will with love. You see something now? Yes. You do. Okay, great. Very warm welcome to all our district governors. Would everybody please mute themselves? A warm welcome to all governors, governors-elect, district polio chairs, past directors, past governors, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the most important webinar that you're likely to attend during COVID times. This is not the usual virtual meeting where you can enjoy a siesta. I promise you there will be no long introductions, no meandering votes of thanks. Sadly, however, this will not be an interactive session, because as you can see when somebody puts on their mic, we have a lot of disturbance. If you have any questions at the end of this meeting, please send me an email and I promise to respond to them. This meeting will help you save the children of India from the debilitating effects of polio, measles, and rubella. It will provide you a roadmap to help redeem Rotary's pledge to the children of our planet, a polio-free world. We have on our list of speakers the President-elect of Rotary International, a past world president who is now a member of the International Polio Plus Committee, the chairman of the Rotary Foundation, the chairman of the International Polio Plus Committee, a director on the board of Rotary International, and a trustee of the Rotary Foundation. On your behalf, I would like to extend a warm welcome to President-elect Shekhar, past World President Raja Sabu, Chairman and past World President Ravi, Chairman Mike McGovern, Director Bharat, and Trustee Ghulam. And a very warm welcome to Aziz Memon, a trustee of the Rotary Foundation and chair of the Pakistan Polio Plus Committee. We are also joined by Rotary's special friend in the fight against polio since 1994. I refer to Dr. Sunil Dev from WHO. Dr. Rija and Mihanka Nerina, pardon my pronunciation, immunization specialist, UNICEF, is also with us. Shortly, at about 7:45, we expect to be joined by the Honorable Health Minister of India, Dr. Harshvardhan. Recognition, esteem, credibility, what we take for granted today, did not come to Italy without tons of sweat, tired calf muscles, tears, and loads of empathy. Despite 7 decades spent in feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, housing the homeless, the community still referred to Rotary clubs as Roti Club, places to eat and drink. What about this dramatic change in our fortunes where we got recognition, esteem, credibility was Polio Plus. As you know, this is what the polio virus can do. Paralyze limbs, paralyze breathing, it can kill. These are the kinds of virus, polio virus. What you saw before was how we combat the virus through supplementary immunization and routine immunizations. Supplementary immunization, as you know, is done through what we call NIDs and SNIDs, National Immunization Days and Sub-National Immunization Days. We use the IPV and the I request everyone to mute themselves. Continue to use the IPV and the OPV. The Global Polio Eradication Initiative, or GPEI, is a worldwide partnership that has brought down the number of cases from 1,000 a day to only 102 in the entire year up to now. All of these are in our immediate neighborhood, in Pakistan and Afghanistan. Each partner has a well-defined role, and you see the roles on your screen. I'm not going to attempt to read it out to you. Rotary has helped keep presidents and prime ministers engaged with the program. You see here Raja Sabu and O.P. Vash with the then Honorable Prime Minister of India, along with Dr. Harshvardhan, who was recognized for his extraordinary effort. Rotary has built up a great rapport with senior bureaucrats and corporate leaders. When the partnership was wrestling with the challenge of overcoming resistance, Ashok Mahajan, as director, stepped up to the plate, and Rotary set up its Muslim Ulama Committee, which was a game changer. But you may well say these are extraordinary times, strange times, endemic times. What can we do to fight polio or measles, rubella in such times? What we can. Friends, without further ado, I would like to invite Rotary International Director and Treasurer, Dr. Bharat Pandya, to address us.
The International Polio Committee Chair, Deepak Kapoor, for this opportunity to share some thoughts with the leaders of our zones. Friends, polio was a word and is a word which strikes fear in the hearts of people, especially in the hearts of parents, because this disease affects and cripples our most vulnerable, most defenseless population, children under the age of 5 years. There is an old saying, nothing happens unless there is first a dream. And it was Rotary who showed that dream to the world that yes, we can think and dream of eradicating polio, when in 1982, the Rotary International Board pledged to immunize all children of the world. Of course, then the goal was by Rotary's centennial 2005. The polio story, the polio journey is a story of 4 C's, as I call it. The first C is commitment. It is always commitment which translates any promise into reality. And it was the commitment of Rotary, the commitment of Rotarians, but not just the Rotarians, the entire spectrum of Rotary family, protractors, the interactors, our spouses, our partners, inner wheel, friends of Rotary, all of these together over the last more than 30 years have brought us really this close to eradicating polio. The story of Rotary, the story of polio eradication is the story of resilience of Rotary and Rotarians to overcome all obstacles, all challenges, in fact to convert those obstacles into opportunities to fulfill our promise to the children of the world. That commitment has to be an ongoing commitment on the part of each and every Rotary leader who is present here today. Second C is collaboration. No single organization, you have just seen who the Rotary partners are: WHO, UNICEF, the various governments, CDC, Gates Foundation, Gavi, and Rotary. None of them could ever have come this close to eradicating polio by themselves, but together we are really this close. And we are on the cusp of history, when 2 to 3 days from now, the African region is about to be declared polio-free, is about to be certified as polio-free, friends. So it was truly the commitment of Rotary and Rotarians and the collaboration which Rotary forged and established with the various partners that has brought us close to polio eradication. But the next 2 C's are very, very important now. The third C is consistency in action and contribution, friends. We have to still consistently keep on working for polio eradication. And that work has to be through our advocacy efforts. This work has to be through our focus on routine immunizations. And of course, polio eradication is our sacred promise to the children of the world. This promise will only be fulfilled if we keep contributing to the polio fund today and every day till we achieve that goal of a polio-free world, friends. And therefore my request to each and every Rotarian who is present here today, that we have to support our polio eradication fund. We have our 4 End Polio Now coordinators. We have so many trustees, the trustee chair, the Indian National Chair, the International Polio Plus Committee Chair. I am sure they all will share with you how important it is that each one of us remains committed to contribute to the polio eradication. So commitment, collaboration, consistency in action and contributing to the polio fund. And the last one is most important, conclusion. As I said, that this is our promise to the children that we will give them a polio-free world. I always believe our ancient philosophy tells us that it is the action, not the fruit of the action, which is important. But I always believe that if we do nothing, there will be no result. If we want to achieve the result of a polio-free world, we have to bring this program to its logical conclusion, friends. And that will happen only if each and every one, the governors who are present here today, the DPPCs who are present here today, the various other Rotary leaders, we all remain committed to the goal of polio eradication. There is an old saying, what we do only for ourselves dies with us. What we do for others makes us immortal. I think a polio-free world is the perfect legacy that we can leave for our children and our grandchildren. Let's keep our commitment. Let's do it. Thank you very much.
Choir from Sandeep Kashyap and or Sanjay Parmar. Do we have the Honorable Health Minister with us? Do we have the Honorable Health Minister with us? Has he joined?
Yes, I don't see him as yet.
No, sir. Can we just move on from here? I'm sorry, Trustee Ghulam, can I ask you to fill in the breach? Sure. Your remarks, please.
Sure, Deepak. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ghulam.
So, in the absence of our Honorable Minister of Health and Family Welfare, I will address him in absentia. We're looking forward to having him with us soon. But may I begin by recognizing our distinguished senior leaders of Rotary International and the Rotary Foundation. May I also recognize Dr. Andrea Mihanta Nirina of UNICEF, Dr. Sunil Bahl of WHO, fellow Rotarians, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, namaskar. Thank you, past Rotary International President Rajaji and PDG Deepak Kapoor, Chair of the Indian National Polio Plus Committee, for inviting me to speak today. We know that Rotary members are not the type of people who sit on their laurels once a goal is achieved. As demonstrated by our commitment to sustain a polio-free India, while at the same time engaging in the effort to eliminate measles and rubella from our country by 2023. So how did we get involved in measles and rubella elimination? In 2017, Rotary leaders in India Can I request everyone, please, before I go on, may I request everyone to please mute themselves, excepting Deepak. Deepak, you may want to remain unmuted, but can I request everyone else to please mute? So how did we get involved in, thank you very much. How did we get involved in measles and rubella elimination? In 2017, Rotary leaders in India had a vision of sustaining a polio-free India and helping with measles, rubella elimination, an effort launched by the Government of India in that year. By utilizing our extensive Rotary network, established under the India National Polio Plus Committee, and adapting the many lessons learned in our effort to protect all children from paralysis by the wild polio virus, we wanted to transform our knowledge where it could be used most effectively, helping with another important public health initiative. This vision was discussed by the International Polio Plus Committee and then brought to the trustees for approval at their June 2017 meeting, where it was agreed that the Polio Plus infrastructure in India would be utilized to support the measles, rubella elimination effort. And later that year, a memorandum of understanding was signed with the government whereby we committed to support the effort with social mobilization and advocacy activities. The achievement of a polio-free India did not come easily and required the full commitment of our Rotarians and their families to support the effort in any way possible. For example, by providing small items of interest to children, such as balloons and balls, to motivate parents during polio vaccination campaigns. By holding health camps to address the broader health needs of communities. By posting banners in towns and villages during campaigns and providing umbrellas to vaccinators to protect them from the sun and rain. We advocated with government leaders at the national, state, and local levels to prioritize polio immunization activities. We advocated with religious leaders and established the Ulema Committee, which has been replicated by national polio plus committees in other countries. We liaised with our partners, WHO and UNICEF, to develop high quality and effective strategies to rid India of polio. And we identified high profile champions such as Mrs. Rajashri G. Birla, to whom we owe an extraordinary debt of gratitude for her commitment and support. All of these activities can be adapted to other goals and priorities. Just as the India National Polio Plus Committee has integrated measles and rubella into its activities, we are seeing similar integration of activities and systems established to eradicate polio. For example, the Measles Rubella program has efficiently leveraged polio assets to integrate acute flaccid paralysis surveillance, which alerts medical officers to potential cases of polio, with case-based measles rubella surveillance and surveillance for other vaccine preventable diseases. This is important. We want to use our valuable investments, experience gained, and systems created in eradicating polio for other initiatives that contribute to the health and well-being of our youngest citizens. At the same time, we must remain vigilant to sustain a polio-free India. January 2021, which is just 5 months away, will represent 10 years since the last detection of wild polio virus in India, a full decade that seems to have flown by. It is a testament to our commitment and that of our partners and government that we have achieved this milestone. And yet we know that while the polio virus exists anywhere, it is a threat to children everywhere. We have great capacity amongst our membership to do many things, and we have the capacity to sustain the achievement of a polio-free world and to use that experience to tackle other issues like measles and rubella to demonstrate the full power of Rotary and the Rotary Foundation to do good in the world. Thank you. Over to you, Deepak.
Thank you very much, Ghulam. As always, it's a great pleasure to listen to your words of wisdom. Thank you. Friends, we have already been joined by the Honorable Union Health and Family Welfare Minister, Dr. Harshvardhan. On your behalf, I would like to extend a hearty welcome to this personality who is the envy of every health minister in the world. He is the man who dared to conduct the first ever mass immunization campaign in our country. The Honorable Health Minister, Dr. Harshvardhan, is a man of conviction, a man of action, and one of the rare individuals who does not let his position stand in the way of his grace, humility, and normal courtesy. At this juncture, may I invite our past World President, Raja Sabu, for his remarks. There seems to be a technical glitch.
Deepak, I think he's trying to get on again.
Okay. In the meantime, rather than having a stutter here, may I invite our chair of the International Polio Plus Committee, past Rotary International Director Michael McGovern, for his remarks. Mike, can we hear you? Can you unmute Mike McGovern, please?
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman Deepak. Deepak has asked me remarks and then to give a longer remarks later on.
But
It's very humbling to be able to speak with you like this. I know all of you have accomplished so much in India, eradicating polio, and with measles
disconnected.
and Rubella. You know, when Trustee Ghulam said it's been 10 years since the last polio case in India, you know, in many respects, that doesn't seem possible. But it became possible because you eradicated polio. You did it before anyone thought that you might do it. And all of the credit is to the Rotarian in India. You know, a lot of us say we began the efforts to eradicate polio in the 1980s.
So,
That is true.
there now.
Rotary began working on polio
Yes.
many decades before that. You did it, and your predecessors did it, in all of your clubs. As you worked with children and infected polio, and you helped them with...
Mike, may I interrupt you for just a moment? Sanjay Parmar, could you please, you are being heard.
Thank you, Ghulam. Yeah, we have worked on polio for many decades. You know, all of you in India, through your clubs, helped out polio survivors. You helped them with artificial limbs. You helped them with therapy. The Rotarians in the 1980s thought Rotary could do better. They thought we could not only do disease treatment, but we could do disease prevention. This is what it's all about. As I mentioned, I'm going to be speaking later on about what our commitment has been, but I do want to highlight one particular Rotarian. Recently, we were looking at the minutes of the International Polio Plus Committee from the very beginning. We were wondering who might have been at that first meeting. One of the questions was whether or not Dr. John Sever was there, who was the first Rotarian. He was the district governor who suggested that Rotary take on polio eradication. But what we found when we looked at those minutes, the chair of the very first meeting of the International Polio Plus Committee was none other than Raja Sabu. Today, Raja Sabu continues as a member of the International Polio Plus Committee, as either a member or as an advisor. He has been in the central focus of polio for all these years. So I want to, say, while I have a few minutes at the beginning, what a great honor it is to work with Raja. I know he's been a tremendous leader in India in polio eradication, but he's also been a tremendous leader around the world. I also, assuming you're not ready to move on quite yet, Deepak, I also want to recognize our partners. I see you have representatives from the World Health Organization and from UNICEF. The other day I was on a session that Trustee Aziz prepared, I think it was a week ago today, with Dr. Hamid Jaffrey. Dr. Hamid Jaffrey was one of the World Health Organization leaders who was instrumental in working with all of you in eradicating polio. Today, he is the polio director for the Eastern Mediterranean region of the World Health Organization. That includes Pakistan, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, and so many other difficult places. So, I think we can have confidence that polio is going to be eliminated with folks like Hamid continuing to work on it, with our other partners, with the support of people like Bill Gates, the support of people like Mrs. Burla, but also the support of all of you. So I look forward to speaking with you later about Rotary's commitment, and I can't thank you enough for the example you set to the world, all of you, and for the work you are doing in your country, assisting with measles, rubella, and ensuring that India stays polio-free. So thank you very much, Deepak. I look forward to speaking later.
Thank you very much, Mike, for your initial remarks, and we look forward to hearing from you at length a little later. Is Sabu Saab there? Has he joined in? Sanjay, Sandeep?
Yes, sir. He has joined us, sir.
Okay, great. May I invite the first ever International Polio Plus Community Chair, Rajat Sadhu, to speak to us, please.
Deepakji, I think he's having trouble.
I can see him on the
us.
screen.
Yes.
Sabu Saab, can we have your remarks, please?
I think he's having problems hearing us.
Oh,
He has to unmute.
no, he's unmuted already.
Unmuted, sir.
So rather than have another pause in the program, may I invite the chairman of the Rotary Foundation, past World President A.R. Ravindran, to make his opening remarks. Ravi?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, every time there is an opportunity to listen to you, I do look forward to that prospect. And I have often wished, as Deepak mentioned a little while ago, that every country in this part of the world have a minister like you, as well equipped and as knowledgeable as you to handle public health. Not least of all a person who is a doctor and an ENT surgeon by vocation, a social worker by spirit, and a politician by assignment. I say this with great responsibility, for I have read a book called A Tale of Two Drops, which you may have heard of, sir, which gives the anatomy of a successful campaign against polio in India, and how what was considered to be an impossibility at yet was achieved. I think it was Mr. Bill Gates who played this ultimate compliment in observation of the author, who is our guest today, the good doctor himself. He said that India fully funded its own anti-polio plan in a ringing statement of commitment and self-confidence. Mr. Gates may have said that, but it was impressive that you, sir, never failed both in
Hello? Hello?
Give me a moment. Abha, you need to mute yourself, please. Abha Jha Chaudhary.
Hello?
Oh my
Go
God.
ahead, Ravi. Sorry.
That you
Mute yourself, Abha.
never failed, both in your book and elsewhere, to felicitate and acknowledge the efforts of Rotary International, which stood hand in hand with the government of India with both funds and other resources, thus making it possible to climb a mountain which everyone thought to be unclimbable. It is not that we are hunting for recognition, but we also are not averse to genuine appreciation, and you, sir, more than anyone else, understood that that the deepest principle in human nature is a craving to be valued, and that when one is respected, it's one of the simplest and most uplifting things one can hear. We thank you for being present with us today, Honorable Minister, and we wish you well in the days ahead, knowing your work has been even more challenged by the current pandemic. Even before COVID-19, health workers around the world faced enormous obstacles to carry out their life-saving work, and over the past decade, vaccine coverage has stalled. The pandemic has made a challenging situation even worse, disrupting the delivery of immunization services and threatening to reverse hard-won progress in reaching children with essential vaccines. Approximately 80 million children under the age of 1 are now at increased risk of vaccine-preventable disease in 68 countries as of May 2020. So we ask you, Mr. Minister, to stay safe. India needs you and your leadership, and ask that He above gives you full strength to your arms as you get about your work. And on this very auspicious day when we celebrate Lord Ganesha's birthday, we thank Him for guiding us to achieve this polio-free India, and ask for the same help in making the rest of the world polio-free. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks, Chairman Ravi. As usual, you always manage to find the right words to express the right sentiment. Thank you very much. Sanjay, is Mr. Sabu on? May I invite past world president Anna Sabu to address us next?
I think he's having problems with his audio.
Okay. So rather than stand between our honorable minister and all those who joined in to hear him, may I very cordially invite our honorable minister to address us. Please everyone mute yourself.
Good evening, all my dear friends in the Rotary International. I feel privileged to be in the company of the great Mr. Michael, the great Mr. Raja Sabu, the great Mr. Ravindran, Mr. Deepak Kapoor, and many other very, very senior Rotarians from India and maybe from other parts of the world also. It's a very, very privileged moment for me. And all these years since I took charge of the health ministry in the capital of India, some 27 years back, I have been a part of this orientation workshop meeting on so many occasions at so many places all over the country. And I have said it on number of occasions that association with Rotary, which actually happened just accidentally, that also I will refer to, because we have so many nostalgic memories of the great days that we have spent together. That has been, this association with Rotary is probably one of the important treasures for me in my life. It's a great association, it's a great friendship. It has given me a great amount of inspiration also. And at this particular moment, I have to thank Mr. Raja Sabu particularly for requesting me to be part of this meeting. And at every Rotary function, he is the first one, along with others, to make sure that I enjoy the privilege of being a part of a Rotary function. I know over the years I enjoyed Paul Harris Fellowship twice because of all of you. I enjoyed the privilege of receiving the Polio Eradication Champion Award also from the Rotary Foundation. I also remember having received one more prestigious award at the Mumbai International Summit by Rotary a couple of years back, maybe around 2 decades now, and also had the privilege of being a part of the 100 years celebration in Kolkata recently. I today miss many of the senior Rotarians, and especially I would recall two special dignitaries who had been part of our activities right from the day one, Mr. Sudarshan Agrawal and Mr. O.P. Vash. Sudarshan Agrawal used to be part of this National or International Polio Plus Committee at that time. And in 93, 17 days after having become the Health Minister of Delhi, it was on 20th December 1993, at a function in Maulana Azad Medical College, post my meeting with a couple of doctors belonging to the Indian Academy of Pediatrics, I was blessed by God to have a dream the very same night to work for a polio-free India. And immediately after that, when we started working to organize the first pulse polio program in Delhi, I remember that sometimes in the month of April/May, Mr. Sudarshan Agrawal had come to my office for something else, and he overheard my conversation with a couple of people talking about polio eradication and the preparations about the pulse polio program. Honestly speaking, till that time, I had not known that Rotary had dreamt about a polio-free world even much before the World Health Organization's resolution about eradicating polio from the face of the earth in 1988 at the World Health Assembly. And after overhearing me on that telephone, Mr. Sudarshan Agrawal said, "Can you come and participate in one meeting of Rotary where we are also talking about all this?" And it was the very next day, a meeting in New Delhi's Hotel Hilton, which was again some sort of a meeting like this, an orientation workshop, and maybe where some new district governors were being sworn in or were being taught about the polio eradication movement. And that was my first association with Rotary International. And I remember after that, we together have never looked back, and in the successful implementation of the first pulse polio program in New Delhi on 2nd of October 1994, under the able leadership of all Rotarians, and more particularly the Rotary leadership at that time, Raja Sabu is still there. We don't have O.P. Vash and Sudarshan Agrawal and many leaders all over the country. They are still there. I can't name all of them right now, but I remember a couple of things very distinctly. This was a program which I had dreamt to work on, for which there was no mention in our planning. There was no money or financial allocation for this program in the budget. And to begin our work, we had started with a modest 1 crore of rupees. That too we organized with the help of reappropriation of 20 lakh rupees each from 4 or 5 hospitals in our capital. But I remember two things very distinctly. Rotary came to our rescue, and a lot of all publicity material and support in kind apart from the volunteer support, it came from Rotary during that first Pulse Polio program. And then also the most significant contribution about which I had the doubts at that time, if Rotary can really do that, the transfer of vaccine at minus 20 degrees centigrade from 43 regional vaccine stores to 4,000 polio kendras all over the capital in 1994, and that too very early in the morning, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. As I said earlier, that I really didn't have the confidence in the ability of Rotarians to get up early in the morning. So I had arranged simultaneously for 400 alternate vehicles, so that if some Rotarians or many Rotarians fail to deliver that, we have alternate arrangements. But I always say that with a lot of pride, and I always feel so good about your contribution, that not a single Rotarian at single regional vaccine center or the polio kendra failed to deliver. And we could successfully deliver the first Pulse Polio program on 2nd of October, where of course many other organizations, many other people participated. We had the great support from World Health Organization, UNICEF, so many other NGOs, social organizations, religious organizations. But of course, the remarkable contribution of Rotarians and the Rotary International and the international support in terms of everything that was required can never be forgotten. And from that 2nd of October 1994 till today, it's a long journey. There are hundreds and thousands of incidents, anecdotes, happy moments, tiring moments, bottlenecks, so many things that we have faced together. We know the resistance that we faced from the communities in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. We know so much of continuous evaluation of strategy, monitoring, so many things that we did together. We know how, with the help of WHO, Rotary International and many others, we developed the National Polio Surveillance Project. And as was being mentioned about how actively we searched for the acute flaccid paralysis with the help of our doctors all over the country, supported by all the volunteers all across the country. We could see that great day on the 13th of January 2011 when the last case was reported. And as was rightly mentioned just now, that another 5 months from now we shall be into January 2021, and we would have completed a decade with no polio case in the country. I think this satisfaction, I think it can't be described in words, because when we started our journey, we were home to 60% of the polio cases of the whole world. And when we started working on this, most of the people used to mock at us. But when people used to mock at us that how is it possible to bring every child to the polio kendra in a country as vast as India, and people used to create doubts about the ability of India, about the ability of people in Delhi, about the ability of Rotarians and everyone else, I had always fought with everyone with one conviction, that if a country as vast as India can provide ballot paper to every Indian for exercising his or her franchise, why can't the same country, for the sake of their polio affected children, why can't the same country provide vaccines at minus 20 degrees centigrade in vaccine carriers, just like ballot papers, to every child's mouth? And why can't every mother be brought to a polio kendra? And I think truth prevailed. Our conviction succeeded. When we had started, if I have to recall my own feelings, I was at many times really not sure if ever in my own life I can see a polio-free world. But now it's not only about polio-free India, that we have all been, bestowed with the best blessings of God, that we could see a polio-free India for a decade or so now. And we are now almost close to a polio-free world also. But as was said earlier by another speaker, Mr. Ravindran, who said so many good things about me also. I don't think I deserve so much, but you had been very modest and very I don't have any words to actually express my gratitude for all the kind words that Mr. Deepak Kapoor and Mr. Ravindran expressed about me. But I think orientation workshops like this, they have to actually go back with a pledge or some sort of a reassertion of our own commitment, because as long as we have polio cases anywhere in the world, and more particularly in the neighboring countries, we, even after a decade, can't be complacent even for a moment. So on the one hand, all of us have to very carefully monitor and watch and support and be part of whatever polio eradication activities. Now what we are working for is not for a polio eradication in India, but now we have to support the polio eradication of the whole world by consistently working about it, giving vaccines to our own children also, as long as the international authorities and the world bodies don't decide about stopping the immunization when we have a certified polio-free world. So it's a very, very happy moment to rejoice, to celebrate, but also, as has been said, it's a great thing to hear that polio, after polio, right from 2017, Rotary International has pledged to cooperate and contribute for the elimination of diseases like measles and rubella. And I can, on the behalf of the Indian government, tell you that there are many more commitments that we want to fulfill on the health front. We want to eliminate tuberculosis by 2025. We want 100% children in India at every cost to receive vaccines against all the vaccine preventable diseases, because there is already a robust universal immunization program. But still we miss 10, 20, 30% children at different places. And we also want to ensure that not a single pregnant woman should die because she became pregnant. Pregnancy has to be a boon. It can't become a curse for a woman. We just want to literally eliminate these words like maternal mortality, infant mortality and under 5 mortality I know if we are all very, very meticulous in our approach about handling all these issues, one day we can bring down these numbers to almost negligible numbers. There are many other diseases against which the Government of India is working. We have recently started working on the National Digital Health Movement, which was announced by the Prime Minister. So I look forward to support from Rotarians on every important issue, not related to health only, but also many other social issues. You know, together on the COVID front, in spite of being a country of 1.35 million, today we have performed quite well as compared to the rest of the world. We have the least number of cases per million, least number of deaths per million. We have the maximum number of tests being done per million. You will be happy to know that today, in a country which started with one lab, I have to report back to you that we have 1,511 labs today. And in a country where in April we were doing just about 3,000-4,000 tests, 5,000-6,000 tests a day, today we crossed 1 million tests per day. That is the latest about it. We have 75% recovery rate, probably the best in the whole world, and the least fatality rate due to COVID, that's about 1.87. It has all happened because of the support of the whole society, support of the whole government, and support of all NGOs and everybody like you. I know I addressed another function with Rotary where you had described to me the kind of support that you delivered during COVID for the PM Cares Fund and many other things that you donated in kind to the fight against COVID. So I would say once again that I always feel proud of you. I am so happy to be part of you, and of course I feel lucky and fortunate that I enjoy your confidence and your blessings and your good wishes. I continue to look forward to many more years of participation together where we can contribute significantly to two dreams of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. He wants to deliver a new India to all Indians by 2022 and ultimately a Vishwa Guru Bharat in the next few years. And I think with each one of us also dreaming about it and contributing his or her bit to the development of a new India where we can bring back smiles on everybody's face, we can eliminate the miseries of everybody, all poor people, where we can ensure health, education, adequate nutrition to every child, where we can look after our elderly and our women in the best possible manner, and where we can ensure that the country and each and everyone focuses only on nationalism and humanism, and all these other isms, they get eliminated from our country. That would be a great day for India, and I am sure that we all have the capability and the capacity to deliver that to our country. So with these few words, I feel sorry that we missed the words of wisdom from Mr. Raja Sabu, who we know that he is the first Indian who became the international president, and at least for last 3 decades I have been seeing him working consistently for Rotary and through Rotary for the humankind and welfare of Indians, not only Indians but people all across the world. So wish you all good luck, all my good wishes. and all my prayers to God for the welfare of Indians and all of you. And today is Ganesh Chaturthi. I also congratulate you for that, and we pray to Lord Ganesha because he is the God for wisdom, he is the God for Sadbuddhi, intelligence, and I am sure that he is going to shower us with more of wisdom today so that we can take good decisions for working together for the welfare of mankind. Thank you so much, all my dear friends. Namaskar, Jai Hind, Bharat Mata ki Jai.
Honorable Health Minister, sir, we are definitely moved by your vote of confidence in Rotary and the way you have been working with Rotary over the years, and especially for your stewardship in these difficult times, the courage you've shown, the personal example that you've shown, all point to the fact that the song "We Shall Overcome" or "Hum Honge Kamyab" may well have been written specifically with you in mind. Under your leadership, Rotary looks forward to India maintaining its polio-free status and emerging victorious over diseases like measles and rubella. And to your very long menu card of diseases that you have to fight, perhaps you could consider adding one more, which is leprosy. We have with us our partners from UK, from Lepra UK, and we will have a conversation about it. I believe past World President Raja Sabu's audio is now working. May I request our past World President Rajaji to please speak to us.
Good evening, everyone. Absolutely a privilege to be amongst all of you. I'm extremely sorry that I got a little delayed. I entered the meeting first and I had to leave because the Honorable Governor of West Bengal had come to my club's meeting today at my invitation, so I had to be there. I definitely heard the speech of Dr. Harshvardhan, and inspiration for us to keep moving. Last bastion is left, and because of the COVID pandemic, we know there have been challenges. Even otherwise, there were challenges in that part, in Pakistan and Afghanistan. With the pandemic, things have not become easier, but I'm happy to note that each month there is progression. August has been better than July. I'm sure September will be, the immunization circle is going to be larger than what it is now, and hopefully it will keep increasing both in Afghanistan and Pakistan. I regularly am in interaction with Aziz to keep myself abreasted of what the progress is. The 102, I think, is the number as of now for this year. Had probably the pandemic not struck, I'm sure Deepak probably we would have fared much better than what we have today. Now, this pandemic has crippled so many of programs, so many things in the world, but Rotarians are not people to be giving up so easily, so we'll keep the fight on. And even today I had a word with Aziz and he is quite hopeful that things will become much better. And for the rest of the world, we have to keep ensuring that the funds keep flowing, and we will ensure that the funds are there. And with I saw my friend Mike McGowan is here, and with K.R. Ravindran as the trustee chair, I'm sure the funds for polio will keep coming. There are so many other people who keep working for polio around the world, trying to raise funds. But I think in India and this part of the 4 zones that we are in, we'll all have to put in a bit of more effort, ensuring that greater contributions come out of our DDF, unspent DDF, and also even otherwise. I just realized that a contribution of $1,000 can actually tantamount to becoming $6,000. So it's an excellent investment. If this is a thought that goes down here and is propagated very well, Ravi, if this thought goes that your funds will become 1:6, I'm sure in this part of the world, this very thought that their fund will go that far will make a difference in contribution to the polio funds that are there. You had mentioned to me to speak to the Prime Minister about contribution from India for the global polio fund, but as you are aware, thereafter we've all been homestruck for now 5 months. Once this gets over, I'll remember what you had said, and we will meet up the Prime Minister someday and we'll make a request for him if, just as so many other countries made that wonderful contribution, India too could make its bit, make a contribution to the World Fund for Polio Eradication. Deepak, I must compliment you for the outstanding work that you do. Very few people have the tenacity that you have had for the last 19 years. I'm aware you're at it and ensure that the work of polio eradication in India goes on. We still do what we need to in this part of the world. I only hope that our contributions increase. And Aziz, I keep saying on your shoulders now rest so many hopes, the hopes of a million Rotarians, more than a million Rotarians. But be assured that we are all together with you. If there is anything that we can do, we'll only be too happy to do. We have won so many battles. We are just this close to win the war against polio. Thank you. Thanks, Deepak.
Thank you, Shekhar. Thank you for those that very inspiring and motivating address. And who knows, destiny is a big thing. When Kalyanda was the president of Rotary International, that year India, against all expectations, against all odds, against all the soothsayers saying the absolute opposite, India became polio free. And the help of Aziz in both Pakistan and Afghanistan, who knows that in Shekhar Mehta's year as president of Rotary International, the world could see the last ever case of the wild polio virus. Our best wishes are with you, and we hope to God that happens. One more attempt, if we can try, with Sabu Saab. Sabu Saab, is it possible, Sunday?
Deepak, I'll tell you, you need to give him a call and tell him he probably is logged in from 2 laptops or 1 phone plus laptop. His phone is not on WebEx, it seems. If there are 2 instruments, then there will be
Yes, I tried to talk to him. Sunday, can you give one more try? And in the meantime, our next speaker began his career as a public health professional in the polio trenches of Delhi. He headed the NPSP, as you all know, it's the National Polio Surveillance Project, until India's surveillance became the best in the world, and this is acknowledged worldwide. Dr. Sunil Behl is the go-to man in WHO in trying to talk all groups. I invite Dr. Behl to address us. Sunday, you will have to mute Mr. Sabu's mic.
Okay.
You will have to mute him. Dr. Behl, may I request you kindly to address us?
Thank you very much, Deepakji and esteemed Rotarians. It is indeed a pleasure for me to be at this orientation meeting today. I've been at a number of these, over the past almost 20 years since I got associated and have been a part of this orientation. I would make a very brief presentation because Deepakji has asked me to talk about not the past, but of the present and the future in terms of the immunization and also what this COVID-19 pandemic means to the immunization, to the polio program, and to the measles and rubella goal that we have set for ourselves. So first of all, to give you the good news that India for the first time has achieved a 90% coverage of 3 doses of the oral polio vaccine through the routine immunization program in 2019. So that's the first time, and India has come a long way from where it was even about 5 years back in terms of the routine immunization coverage of OPV to where it is in 2019. Now, however, having said that, even 90% coverage means that as per are not receiving oral polio vaccine through routine immunization, and that when you translate that into numbers, it's about 25 lakh children every year that do not receive 3 doses of the oral polio vaccine or the IPV through the routine immunization program. And which means that in about 4 years, there will be a cohort of about 1 crore children in the country that are susceptible to polio because they have not received the vaccine through routine immunization. So that's the story, the good and the bad side of what we have achieved with routine immunization as of now for polio. And then comes the COVID-19 pandemic. And as esteemed Rotarian Mr. Ravindran has already mentioned that COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted routine immunization in many, many countries, and India is no exception. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has been on the routine immunization and on 2 fronts. The first front is that the community is reluctant. There is a fear amongst the community that they will catch COVID-19 if they go to the immunization sessions with their children for vaccination. Also, there has been a difficulty in reaching the immunization sessions, and that was mainly during the lockdown phases, because of which the community was reluctant. Also, the immunization sessions, especially the outreach sessions, have not been happening. They have been temporarily disrupted in some of these areas, and a combination of these 2 things has led to the negative impact on the routine immunization. Complicating all this is also the fact that the mass vaccination campaigns or the subnational immunization day that was supposed to be held in June had to be delayed, and now it's going to happen in September. Now, I'm laying this out so that we understand the vulnerability, because the vulnerability that this produces is that there is a further reduction in the population immunity against polio. So there is an increased risk of there is also an increase because of this decline in the routine immunization, an increase in the susceptibility to the outbreaks of other diseases.
but बाकी दो पता नहीं उनको disconnect कैसे हुआ.
Sunday, you are audible. Please carry on. So, please carry on.
So, the outbreaks of other diseases, and especially measles, is also what the population is becoming vulnerable to because of the COVID pandemic and the reduction in the routine immunization coverage. And I just want to take 1 minute to describe what measles is, just in case we don't understand it fully. It is a highly infectious disease, much more infectious than COVID-19. It is a killer disease. It kills more children than COVID would do. It leads to many complications. It leads to an erosion of immunity. So if a child gets measles at the age of 5 years, for example, all the immunity that the child had developed, whether for polio or for the other diseases, gets eroded, making that child not only, vulnerable to polio, but also to all the other vaccine-preventable diseases. The difference between measles and COVID is that we have an effective vaccine for measles, which we don't have for COVID as of now. And this vaccine is highly effective, much, much more effective even than the oral polio vaccine that we had for polio, this vaccine is very effective. And for every 1,000 children that are immunized with the measles vaccine, we avert 16 deaths. I just wanted to emphasize and highlight these points as we discuss about polio and measles. So what needs to be done? The continuity of immunization services, routine immunization is critical. It must be maintained as a core health service. Services have routine immunization sessions have to be conducted in safe conditions. We cannot push the community, the parents, the children, or the health workers to undue harm because of the COVID. So we have to be very careful. The government has already issued very clear guidelines to all the states on how to conduct the routine immunization sessions. The government is encouraging that routine immunization should continue and should be done safely. Now, implementation of these guidelines is a challenge. And that's where I think there is a role that all of us can play, to ensure that the guidelines are implemented and routine immunization is quickly revived and maintained and further accelerated. And there are good examples. This is just two examples that I'm showing, that there are examples of good physical distancing that some states and some sessions are ensuring during the immunization sessions, where they're ensuring that there is no crowding. There are also best practices such as the use of masks during the immunization sessions. And all these things build the confidence amongst the community, give them the confidence to go to these sessions, to get their children vaccinated as well. There are guidelines to ensure hand washing with soap or the use of sanitizers. The problem still is that the community does not have the confidence in vaccination. There is a need to create awareness around the vaccination, which is very, very essential. And who better than the Rotarians to do this? You did this for polio. The massive campaigns that you launched for polio vaccination, the campaigns now needs to be replicated, more so because of the COVID, to ensure that the public gets the confidence, goes to the vaccination sites, gets the vaccine there. The spy that I'm showing here shows that even before COVID, 45% of the children who missed their vaccination was because their parents were not aware of the importance of routine immunization. And that's a very large number. Now, if you add to that the fear of the COVID, the awareness becomes an extremely, extremely important part, and the Rotarians can play a key role to revive, to maintain, and to further improve immunization coverage. This is extremely critical because if we have to maintain the gains of polio, to ensure that the vulnerability to polio is not returned, and also to help eliminate other diseases such as measles and rubella. Thank you very much, Deepak ji, and thank you very much all for your patient listening. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Dell. Whenever Rotary is assailed by doubts about the program, we have always turned to you, and we will continue to do so. Friends, we also have with us from UNICEF, Dr. Rija Andrea Mihanta Nerina, immunization specialist. May I request Dr. Rija to address us next, please? Sanjay, can we have him unmuted? Dr. Rija from UNICEF.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman, and dearest Rotarian colleagues from global level, and from India also, colleagues from WHO and other partners. I'm very pleased to participate in this 2020 orientation and planning meeting organized by Rotary. As we all know, we are facing an unprecedented time of crisis due to COVID-19. COVID-19 pandemic has had a significant impact impact on public health program, including immunization program and the polio eradication process across the world, as my colleague WHO said. We are glad to note that India has completed 9 years without white polio case since its last case in 2011. Government of India has been very proactive to continue and ensure the quality of polio National Immunization Day and the Sub-National Immunization Days with the same favor with its partners, including Rotary. If we look at the global polio scenario currently, it is concerned that the number of white polio virus increased as compared to 2020. This year to date, there has been 104 polio cases compared to 84 for the same period in 2019. And it is the same case also for the VDPV, where it was 113 in 2019, and currently to date it is more than 100 cases. Polio remains, as we know, polio remains endemic in two countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan. Until polio virus transmission is interrupted in this country and across the world, all countries remain at risk of importation of polio, including India. This is the reason why polio is still and remain a national priority to safeguard the country from the re-emergence of poliovirus and to maintain the immunity of the children and their fight against polio. Rotary International has been a strong partner in polio eradication program in India and across the world. Rotary stood for the cause of polio steadfastly till a few years ago. We UNICEF appreciate your commitment to keep the polio program alive by commemorating the World Polio Day, bring all of stakeholders each year. UNICEF India deeply appreciates the contribution of Rotary International and Rotary in India. Rotary and UNICEF India country office have maintained a strong collaboration as core members of polio partners. They are closely involved in the strategy development, advocacy effort, social mobilization, and media management. UNICEF is grateful for the continued support of Rotary, which is still needed at the final stage of the endgame and polio transition. Polio eradication strategy, which have been based on evidence, focused planning, intensive monitoring, surveillance, comprehensive communication, and community engagement approach offer several useful lessons, which are being implemented for the immunization program and can also be adapted for other health programs. Polio legacy, including people, strategies, system, experiences, were extensively used in Measles and the Rubella campaign and the intensified mission introductions in India to reach the communities and to increase the coverage. For instance, the Polio Social Mobilization Network, SMNet, created to fight polio in 2 states, in UP and BR, was deployed to around 18 states to support the communication planning, implementation and monitoring at the state and district level during MR campaign. Despite various challenges, MR campaign has covered, as we know, more than 3 million target children across the 24 state and union territories, achieving an average of 97% coverage at national level. It was indeed a routine task considering the huge number that we covered. UNICEF has worked closely with the government and partners in Rotary to address the key challenge on communication and social mobilization for campaign activity, as well as for routine immunization. New material with target messaging were designated, new platforms were explored, various community religious influencers, stakeholders were identified. Reputed private medical practitioners, professional body like Indian Medical Association, Indian Academy of Pediatrics, and partners like Rotary and others were brought in. The misinformation during MR campaign was tackled by dissemination of positive messages and stories using all possible communication channels. We focused on social media. The effort resulted in high coverage on the MR campaign and helped in system strengthening. Need of the heart amid the COVID in the support of the immunization program, which has resumed its services. As we all know, immunization is the entry point of various of public health services. Support to frontline workers in terms of identification and mobilizing of unvaccinated children, specifically the remote area, hard to reach area, support the team with COVID preventive, supply and physician set such as plastic hand washing, soap and hand sanitizer, and the human resource to organize the crowd to immunization session are very welcome. And we trust that Rotary can and will continue to support on this.
We are extremely grateful to you, Dr. Rita. A partnership between UNICEF and Rotary is legendary. In fact, I don't know if you are aware of this, at one point of time, the chief of UNICEF came up with a quote, which we treasure till this day, in which the chief of UNICEF said, Rotary is the conscience keeper of the Polio Plus program. And we would like to continue to do that. And thank you very much for your comments, which are deeply appreciated. I'm sorry for this unseemly intrusion. We have a time limit on the time up to which we can host this meeting on the platform. Thank you very much. And I would like to invite everybody to applaud our partner from UNICEF for a tremendous enthusiasm that they have taken. Well, friends, with your permission, we are going to try once more, because all of us are extremely keen to hear our past world president, Sri Radha Sabu Sahib. Can we make an attempt once more, please?
You have to.
Yeah, you are perfectly audible, sir. Perfectly.
Can you hear me? You can hear me.
Very well.
Okay. My greetings to all of you on this auspicious occasion, which is the Ganesh Chaturthi. And I would like to also want to mention that we were so fortunate to have Dr. Harshvardhan with us. Because Dr. Harshvardhan has been a person who has the foundation pillar for our whatever success we were able to achieve. Because he was the one who gave us the NID, National Immunization, without which we would not have been able to achieve the success that we have done now. Now I know that we have so many challenges. We have the COVID, but let us not forget that polio continues to be the priority number one, and it has got to be understood by all of us. I'm sure you have been told by Mike McGovern and Mr. past RI President Ravindran about the success that Nigeria and Africa has been able to achieve. In 3 days, they will be getting this certification that Nigeria and Africa will become the polio free. But we must not forget our neighbors, our friends. I can see Aziz is here, and Pakistan and Afghanistan. There, the virus does not require a visa or a travel document, and it can travel almost as fast as COVID. And we have got to understand, that our responsibility is right now. And that is why, please do not think that this meeting, which we have the orientation every year, is just a ritual. Because many of you are new, and they've got to understand that it is your responsibility. Understand that it was Rotary that had dreamed of a polio-free world, and we can't do that. We will fail. And I heard that I briefly heard Bharat Pandya. I heard Gulam. I heard Shekhar. I heard also our friend from WHO. Yes, from and from UNICEF. So they all have told us that unless we cannot take it up and leave it alone, all the funds that we have achieved, whatever we have been able to, and we say that we are almost this much, but it will not be complete until we are able to have the finger and the thumb together. And that is what we require. So my friends, my colleagues, I would say the soldiers, generals fighting against the polio have got to understand whether it is the routine immunization or whatever is to be taken. It is no more a photo opportunity. It is something that we got to continue. And thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And all of us, I think, are so relieved and excited that we got a chance to finally hear you.